Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Kingdom Deluxe class Paleotrex. Paleotrex is a part of a character lineup called Fossilizers, and these basically are going to be replacing the Weaponizers that we have seen throughout Earthrise and Siege, and what a fantastic concept they are here for the new Kingdom toy line. Honestly, this figure is for sure one of the hidden gems out of Wave 1, as initially when this figure was first unveiled I wasn't all that looking forward to him. However, having him in person I can for sure say that he is absolutely fantastic. Now, something worth noting is that for this particular transformation I have opted to leave the head out, and the reasoning behind this is because when you actually do have the head tabbed into the skull, not only does it fill out the skull, which in my opinion looks slightly unusual as of course it should be completely empty, but it also does limit the articulation and does not allow you to get him into a pose which looks along the lines of this. However, bringing Paleotrex in here for a closer look, you can see that this is essentially just the fossil of that of a deceased T-Rex, and as stated earlier on in the review, I think that this is such an awesome concept, and the team over at Hasbro have for sure struck gold. I know myself that I will be picking up multiple copies of this, as I really do love the way this looks. Not only is the sculpt work really awesome, but the overall paint work as well I think has come out so nicely. As we take a look here at the T-Rex head, it's incredibly accurate to something that you would see in a museum. I think that that is why this particular fossilizer does resonate so well with me, as when I was younger, of course, going to the museum I was absolutely fascinated by seeing some of the fossils of deceased dinosaurs. So to get something in the Transformers line which looks so accurate to something that I was fascinated with as a young child, for me really is awesome. As we take a look here at the top, I will very quickly show you how the actual head does look. You can see that it is able to be removed. In my opinion, this is so that we can utilize this as a mace for the upcoming Optimus Primal, but just tabbing that in there you can see that it does fill out the entire skull, which in my opinion doesn't look all that great, as of course with this being a deceased dinosaur surely it should have a complete hollow head. But nonetheless, you can see that I think the sculpt work here for where the nose and the eyes would have been I think looks so awesome. The teeth there have also got this really awesome weathered effect going on, and that too is present all the way throughout the T-Rex body. I think that the overall anatomy of this too is very accurate. All of the proportions in my opinion look fantastic. As we take a look here at the rib cage, once again we have got that brown wash over the top which makes this appear as if though it is old, and as we take a look there at the spine, I just think that overall the detailing is so impressive. We've also got these small T-Rex arms there with some fingers also sculpted. I really do like how they've actually designed the entire legs. These are actually the legs of the robot mode, but the way they've flipped down the ankle spur, to me this looks like the knee section to that of a T-Rex. And as we take a look here, you can see where the paint application does slightly fade over the top of the plastic, which once again just looks so awesome and really does add to the overall weathered effect of the figure. You can see that as we take a look here for the toes, the sculpt work on these I think have come out really nicely. And then finally taking a look here at the tail, in my opinion very proportionate in terms of its length, and in all just a fantastic looking figure. In terms of articulation, the only area of which I can critique this figure is that we are unable to rotate the head left to right. I would have loved it if they could have found a way to actually had engineered a swivel in there, but nonetheless the neck can pivot forwards and backwards. If you do have the head in there, you are unable to actually raise the main head up, hence why I did remove it earlier on in the review. But nonetheless we can open the jaw to a considerable degree, and this also does have a port, so we could attach some blast effects to that if you wanted to go for perhaps a more Dinobot-esque display and have him shooting out fire from his mouth. The tiny T-Rex arms are on ball joints, so they can hinge forwards and backwards as well as rotate up and down. The legs can also hinge forwards and backwards as well as hinge out to the sides. We also do get a hinge joint here for the knee, and the actual toes themselves are also on hinge joints, so you can move those around, as so is the foot, so this too can hinge, and we also do get a swivel. So in terms of the legs, I believe that they are incredibly well articulated. And then turning here for the tail, this can rotate the full 360 as well as hinge up and down, and you can also rotate the tip of the tail here. So in terms of T-Rex mode, I think that it's absolutely fantastic. And so now turning to transformation, another reason why I think that the fossilizers are a fantastic concept is because back in Earthrise and Siege, the weaponizers actually broke apart in order to become weapons, and to me it never really made all that much sense, as of course if they break apart surely they're damaging their limbs. However, with the fossilizers, when you actually break them apart, I think it makes perfect sense, as usually when fossils are indeed found and the experts go in to actually recover them, the dinosaur bones are absolutely everywhere, they're all broken apart. So once again, such an awesome concept. But for transformation, you're going to want to remove this whole section and then just detach that. We're going to want to come here to the legs and once again just pull both of these out, come here to where the knees of the dinosaur legs are and just separate those, and repeat the same process here For the opposite side, we can then take this section and untab that, and of course repeat the same process, and then just completely detach this. And here are all of our Fossilizer bones, and as stated before, I really do think this makes perfect sense to have our new weaponizers for Kingdom break up into bones, as of course the main theme to Kingdom is that of Beast Wars, and really and truly I just really do love this figure. But in terms of transformation to robot mode, you're going to want to hinge this section down, and this port will actually tab into this peg. We can then take this section and fold that down, rotate the head all the way around. We're then going to want to take this section here and just hinge these down like so, ensuring that the pins are facing the opposite side. So you want the smaller side of the pins facing forwards. Just collapse the small T-Rex arms down where the thighs would be, snap that there nice and securely into place. We can then take here the feet, fold out the heel spurs and snap those into place also, and of course repeat the exact same process here on the opposite side. So just tab that in and then come to this section, take this part of the tail, snap that into place, and then turning our attention here, you're going to want to take this hinge joint and collapse it so that we create this almost hand look, which when added onto the figure really does create for an incredibly creepy illusion. You can see how just elongated and menacing this particular character does look. I cannot wait to see how they appear in the actual Kingdom animation. You're then going to want to attach this section here. We can take this leg and once again just port that in there, and then in terms of the actual dinosaur tail, there is a small tab that will peg into this slot, so that there will snap in, and then come to this section. You can see we have this huge port that will peg into this port here on the chest. And once you have all of this fully aligned, here we have Paleotrex fully transformed up into his awesome looking robot mode. Really an incredibly abstract looking character design, hence why I believe these to be some of the greatest ideas to come out of Kingdom, as they're just completely unexpected releases that I'm pretty sure nobody expected to see featured within this line. Taking a closer look here at the detailing, very similarly to that of the dinosaur mode, I think that robot mode here looks equally as awesome. The head sculpt just looks so barbaric and so menacing. You can see here at the top that we've got all of these jagged spikes with the awesome looking weathered paint application. We've got these really menacing looking teeth as well as the eyes piercing through, and Hasbro also went a step further to actually engineer a hinge joint here so that we can lift up this main faceplate to reveal what is, in my opinion, the main face for the robot mode. And once again you can see there the amazing detail. This almost acts to me as an endoskeleton, which I think is fantastic, and I'm pretty sure that younger collectors are going to really love these. Fantastic paint apps in there. In terms of detailing here for the front section, you can see that we do have the Predacon symbol as well as some amazing looking sculpt work as well as paint apps, and the same can be said here. I really do like how the design is not symmetrical, so you can see that we do have this rather abstract looking spike sticking out from this shoulder, whereas this one here is a little more slender, and the overall length of the arms I just think creates for a very creepy and menacing appearance. Honestly, if this thing here was charging towards me, I'm pretty sure I would run in the opposite direction. As we take a look here down to the legs, this is where things do get slightly skinny, especially where the thighs and the lower legs are concerned, but nonetheless I still think that it all looks really nice. You can see some awesome weathered effect as well as this almost fading effect that we have got going on here. And then taking a look, we do just have the T-Rex head there on the back. I maybe would have liked it if this could have actually detached itself, so we could have used that as its own individual weapon, but nonetheless really awesome looking figure, very creepy and incredibly menacing. In terms of articulation, the head here is on a swivel as well as a hinge joint up and down, full 360 rotation here at the arms, and they can also hinge out to the sides. We do get a rotation here, however this here is mainly for the dinosaur mode. The actual rotation here for robot mode lies just above where the elbow is, and these can bend slightly past 90 degrees. We do get a full 360 rotation here at the wrist, and the fingers can also open and close, so you can have him grasping at the humans or perhaps at the Maximals or Autobots. We also do get a full 360 rotation at the waist. Legs can kick forwards that far as well as back to that far, hinge out to the sides. Full 360 rotation at the thigh. We do also get a hinge joint at the knee. The only area of criticism that I do have for this figure in terms of the articulation of the robot mode is that the ankle joint is actually situated just below the knee. So in my opinion, it does bend at a slightly odd angle. However, I do believe that's probably due to the way the figure transforms, and that they had to leave it here in order to maximize the posability and overall design of the dinosaur mode. But in terms of robot mode, really just as freaky looking and as awesome looking as we got with T-Rex mode. And so now, in order to show you how you can actually equip some of Paleotrex parts in order to help aid other transforming figures, I have chose to use Warpath as the surrogate for this. So to begin with, what I like to do is come to this section and of course remove the head, as this will act as a mace, which in my opinion is more intended for that of Optimus Primal. We can then take this piece and attach this here to the shoulder in order to create for this shoulder armor. And then with this section, you're just going to want to straighten all of this out, hinge this section down, and then this can create for an incredibly Beast Wars Megatron-esque type of arm, which once again I do think looks super cool. We can then turn our attention here to this side, and you're just going to want to port this piece in here and then port this section in as well. I believe that this is perhaps supposed to go this way, and then we've created an almost club there, which is huge. Would definitely probably scale better with leaders and Voyagers. However, unfortunately, we haven't got any of those released yet for Kingdom, so you can use that as this almost giant club for Warpath to use when taking down Decepticons. And then we're going to want to use all of these pieces here in order to create a very menacing contraption for Warpath's back. So you're just going to want to tab these in here, much like you would if you were transforming this into T-Rex mode. And of course, repeat the same process. We can then come to this section and just angle all of this up and then snap those into place, and of course repeat the same process here for this side. Definitely a huge looking weapon here, and of course this is just going to peg into the back of Warpath's back, and then you can just angle all of this down to your desire, very similar to that of how you could weaponize Bruntup with some of your other figures, and I think that it looks fantastic. As stated, I really do think that the Fossilizers are a really interesting concept and make perfect sense here for the Kingdom line, so for sure, Paleotrex gets the thumbs up for me in all three of his modes. And so, some final thoughts here for the Kingdom Deluxe class Paleotrex. Once again, another smash hit for the Kingdom toy line. Honestly, in my opinion, he is up there with the Deluxe class Black Arachnia, and you all know how much I loved that figure. I think that this concept is brilliant. Taking into account that Kingdom is going to focus primarily on Beast Wars, it makes perfect sense for Fossilizers to be included within that, as I do believe that when Beast Wars first did originally air, that the Predacons did actually scan dead remains of dinosaurs in order to acquire their alt mode. So personally, I think that if that is the case, that is a really nice homage. But taking a look at the actual figure himself, T-Rex mode in my opinion looks beautiful, a fantastic looking dinosaur mode, and I think is going to appeal to not only Transformers to collectors, but also to collectors who really love dinosaurs. I can definitely see some Jurassic Park or Jurassic World fans picking these up. I love how you can actually break them apart. I think that it makes a lot more sense to break apart a fossil rather than a robot like we saw in both Siege and Earthrise. Whilst that too was a really awesome concept, I think it works a lot better here for the actual fossils. The transformation, it doesn't really transform, it more or less just combines. I think works quite nicely. It's rather simplistic, and it is awesome to actually come up with your own different interpretations and renditions of robot mode. And talking of robot mode, I think it looks fantastic, very abstract in terms of its design, and to me looks like a horrifying looking tree or perhaps Slender Man. Definitely something a little bit more menacing than what we are used to seeing with Transformers. I love that you can actually remove the head in order to create Optimus Primal's mace, so I think that that will look awesome when we do eventually get that figure. And in terms of actually weaponizing some of your other figures, I think it works beautifully. So in all, a figure here that I can highly recommend, and one that for sure I think is going to fly off shelves. Initially, I thought that this figure would maybe be a peg warmer. However, upon actually handling him for myself, he's probably one of the figures that I have actually played with the most, due to how enjoyable he is and due to the actual nature of the overall design. So for sure, a figure here that I can highly recommend. I really do hope that you enjoyed my review. If you did, please do let me know down in the comment section below. Also, be sure to let me know whether or not you think as highly of this figure as I do, and whether or not you will be adding him to your collection. I thank you all for watching my review, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.